All right, good evening. It's a pleasure to be here tonight with you all to honor 4 LP geniuses who are being inducted into the LP Gas Hall of Fame. I've known Tom and Steve since just about the day I started at MPGA. Both have been amazing leaders, and this industry owes them a tremendous amount of gratitude. Before I get to Billy and Don, I just want to say something about Tom and Steve, just as a gauge of how much kindness these two gentlemen have. Every year at MPGA, our staff at the holidays, we receive 4 or 5 gifts for our staff for Christmas presents. And every year without fail, Tom and Steve are 2 of the individuals who give those to us. Just shows what kind of kind human beings they are. I'm just meeting Billy for the first time tonight, but his work was monumental in bringing propane to the masses. I'm grateful for his work to bring the MPGA Cylinder Exchange Council into fruition. And I know Don only by reputation, but his commitment to what was then known as the National LP Gas Association was tremendous, including 11 years on the board, 4 on the executive committee, and 1 as president. So it's fitting that these gentlemen are here during the 75th anniversary of the Southeastern Expo, and they're being honored. Before I continue, I want to take just a moment to talk about another gentleman, Doug Auksher. Doug was an incredible proponent of the propane industry, and last year he was honored with receipt of being inducted into this Hall of Fame. Sadly, he passed away just weeks after the induction ceremony. I'm so glad he was able to relish the moment of recognition for his contribution to the industry. Last year in this room, when Doug accepted the award, he started his speech by sharing with all of us that he stood here before you tonight, or that night, because a gentleman named Tommy had donated his lung to Doug 5 years earlier, and he encouraged all of us to become organ donors. So that resonated with me, and I wanted to repeat it here tonight to honor and remember Doug. So moving on, tomorrow, during the general session, before the keynote, I'm going to spend a few minutes to talk about the monumental challenges we face as an industry, especially in the regulatory environment of the administration in Washington, D.C. But tonight, I want to talk about a different storyline, not one where propane is some artisanal, handcrafted villain, but rather one where propane is the hero of the story. In November of this past year, I had the opportunity to travel to India to attend a World LP Gas Association meeting. It was a terrific opportunity to share learnings with colleagues facing similar challenges in Western countries, but it also provided me with insight, boots on the ground insight, to how propane is viewed in less well-developed parts of the world. For example, India has set net zero goals just like Western countries, but instead of 2030 or 2035, its net zero goal is 2070. The Secretary of Industry's Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas spoke to us, and he said, the reason why we're setting net zero at 2070 is because we want to ensure that power and comfort are available for all citizens. That's what their focus was on. They recognized that the world's population was expected to grow 9% in just the next 7 years, from 7.8 billion to 8.6 billion. And they recognized that providing power should be first and foremost for those citizens in an exploding population. The other takeaway I had from that is just the good that propane is doing for the world. India has a population of 1.4 billion people. Hundreds of millions of people still use dung and wood every day for cooking. I'll give you an example. After the conference, I had the pleasure of having my partner go with me, and she and I went to the cities of Jaipur and Agra, about 180 miles south of Delhi. Our guide took us to his home after we'd been touring for 2 days. I met his mother, I met his wife, I met his 3 children, another dozen family members. And the thing that was really inspiring and really interesting is that this was a middle-class family. They had smartphones, they drove cars, he spoke more languages than I do, and they were still using wood and dung to cook every single day. They had electricity in the form of a rod, an immersion rod that they used for heating bath water, And they had just installed a propane cylinder for a single burner tip in their kitchen, but they still used dung and wood outside for cooking on clay ovens. And my guide's wife told me that since they had installed the 20-pound cylinder in their kitchen, they now spent, instead of spending 4 hours a day, her and her children, gathering wood to turn into charcoal and dung to dry to turn into patties to burn, they now spent a third of that time cooking. So they went from spending 4 hours a day developing fuel to cook on to just over an hour, not to mention the significant health impact. And I share that story because, again, they had a car. They had iPhones. They spoke languages. This was not an isolated incident. This is the truth for over 1 billion people across large swaths of this world. And it just goes to show you how good propane can be for our environment, for our communities, for the well-being of our planet.